about to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's be free with Not looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche. We're on the run, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts. Be free.
Good morning and welcome to this 7th live AQA GCSE Sociology Revision Blast. And we're joined today by our regular star presenters, Craig and Vicky, and by a guest star, by Duncan, who many of you will know from our politics and sociology A-level sessions. So good morning and happy Easter holidays if you're on holidays. If you're still in school, happy Mondays.
Only 3 days, three more days.
Not long to go. And of course, free Easter eggs to everybody who attends this session and gets all the questions right if you're on the live chat. By the way, if you're also...
Is that for presenters as well?
Absolutely, Vicky. Yeah, to your right. Don't forget also, if you're watching on replay, good morning, good evening or good afternoon, but also as we go through the session, you'll have a chance to pause the video. So the many people joining us in the live chat here will be under pressure, under some time pressure. Craig, do you want to give us a flavour as to what we're covering in theory and perspectives? I know we've got a lot to get through in this 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, sure. Today we're going to look at GCSE Sociology, and we're going to look at the theory and perspectives that go right throughout the specification. We're going to focus on the three big theories that you have to discuss, which is functionalism, Marxism, and feminism. And we're going to be looking at aspects of those theories from right across through education, family, crime, and stratification. Again, if you are joining us live, you can... you can put your answers in the chat box on the right hand side. If you're watching us on catch up, we can, if you're watching us on catch up, you can pause the video if you need a little bit more time to respond, because there are some tricky questions coming up today. First of all, we have an activity on feminism, and that is with Duncan.
Hi. Yep. Okay. So this one is quite straightforward. It's true or false. I'll read out a statement. You can read a statement on the screen. And is that statement true or false? The whole statement. Is it true or false? So key goals of feminism include equal pay, sex discrimination, and recognition that women's primary role is that of a childbearer and homemaker. What do you reckon? True or false? Stick T or F in the chat window for our live audience. What do we think? Who's going to be first in there? Is that statement true or false? Okay, got a couple of coming through. People are saying, oh, we've got a bit of a mixture, but mostly falses. Shall we have a look? It is indeed false. Certainly, key goals of feminism would include equal pay or fighting for equal pay and against sex discrimination. But they tend to want to challenge the idea that a woman's primary role is that of a childbearer and homemaker. Okay, should we have a look at the next one? Liberal feminists are generally more positive about improvements that have been made to equality than radical feminists. What do we think? Do we think that's true, or do we think it's false as a statement about feminism? Is that true? Sophie saying true. A few trues coming through now. Dizzle Dazzle's back. Quite a lot of trues there. Shall we have a look? It is indeed true. Yeah, liberal feminists tend to be more optimistic and positive about the changes that have been made up till now. Okay, next one. The following sociologists all belong to the feminist perspective: Weber, Marx, and Wolby. What do you think? Is that true, or must it be false? Oh, they're coming in with falses. There's people going with false. And by saying false, you would be correct. It is false. Wolby is a feminist, but Weber and Marx are not associated with the feminist perspective. Okay, next one. Previous waves of feminism, we do talk about waves of feminism, have won the right for women to enter higher education, enter elite professions, and to sit on a jury. Is that true or false? Oh, Sophie's asking who Weber is. Weber's not a feminist, so not relevant to this particular bit. You come across Weber in other aspects, maybe stratification, for example, so don't worry. If you haven't encountered Weber yet, you will do at some point. Jack saying true. For the previous waves of feminism have won these rights. Julia saying true. Yeah, a few trues coming through. Shall we have a look and see what we think? It is indeed true. Yep, they have been won by previous waves of feminism. And our last true and false question, and it's: the status of women in the world today is that of first-class citizens with full equality. What do we think? What do you think? Is that true or false? So Jack's saying false and Julia's saying false. Jim's going with true. False. Okay, quite a few things coming there with false. Shall we have a look? Yeah, it is indeed false. Obviously, if you're a liberal feminist, you feel that a lot of progress has been made, particularly in perhaps the UK and some countries in the West. But if we're talking about women in the world today, still in many respects lack full equality. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Craig for the picture quiz.
Okay, thank you, Duncan. I couldn't think of anybody better to have done a true or false round on feminism, really, than yourself, Duncan. Right. Well, I could, Sarah, but Sarah would have been better. But hey, okay, we're going to move on to a bit of Marxism now. And we're going to do the picture grid. On the picture grid, you will see 6 definitions of key terms that come up. every time that we ask you, once you've asked a question, it will reveal a piece of the picture. And you have to guess who is behind our picture grid. So if we could see our first term on that. Okay, so bear in mind, this is about Marxism. Who are the owners of the means of production? Who are the owners of the means of production? If you just put your answer in the chat box on the right-hand side.
So
Think
it's a
about
key
Marxism.
term, you might know.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Jack's come through with an answer, as a Sophie. A few answers coming through. Yes, it is about Marxism. That's right, yeah. And we've got a few correct answers there. So let's reveal the answer, please. It is the bourgeoisie. And let's see the first piece of our puzzle. Let's see if we can guess who's behind this picture on Marxism. It's a dead giveaway, that one, isn't it? It's quite clear there. Let's look at our second key term, the differing interests of social class groups. Differing interests of social class groups. A few people guessing. I'm not going to reveal that just yet, just in case, you know, you're watching later on and you want to be surprised by the picture. The differing interests of social class groups. What key term might it be? If we think about Marxism, particularly what type of theory it is. Differing interests of social class groups. Okay, we're seeing a couple of comments through. It's not cultural capital, although cultural capital is inspired by Marxist ideas, but technically, you know, Bourdieu is his own person, if you like. This is a bit of a tough one. Think about what type of theory Marxism is. You know, remember we talk about consensus theories and we talk about another type of theory.
What sort of relationship do different social classes have in, according to Marx? What sort of a relationship is it?
Good clue, Duncan. Conflict. Let's go with that. That's good. What we were looking for, the term was class conflict. So there is a class conflict between the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. So can we reveal our next piece of picture, please? Again, to be honest with you, I wouldn't expect to reveal too much. It gets, you know, we get there eventually to see who it is. Let's look at this next key term, the separation of individuals from society. Separation of individuals from society. Remember, this is a key term in Marxism. So what did Marxists suggest that people happened to people who were separated from society? There's a specific term Marx used. Particularly happened to the proletariat. Ooh, good response there. So Aisha and Dizzle Dazzle. Aisha Dizzle Dazzle. Yep. Have got the correct term. Could we reveal that term, please, Jim? It is alienation. That's right. It's separation of individuals from society or from the product the product of their labor. I think this one might be a bit of a giveaway. If you can't guess this one by now, never mind. Our next key term, the labor of this group is exploited by the ruling class for surplus value. Okay, so we've already had one group. Who are the other group? Okay, so Sophie's come through with a response. What is the name of the group? Aisha as well. Jack, yeah, this is a pretty straightforward one. Can we reveal the answer, please, Jim? It is the proletariat. That's correct. Well done. There's quite a few people getting that through. Dizzle Dazzle, Freddie, and the proles. Yeah, hope lies in the proles. A good a key term from George Orwell, actually. The increasing difference between the lives of the different social classes. This is a term that we talk about, the difference in lives between the social classes. I think we actually mentioned this term maybe last week on our GCSE when somebody asked what this term was, what this term meant. the increased
It's quite
difference
tricky.
between
Quite
the
a tricky
lives
one,
of
isn't it?
different social classes. It is, but we think about how, say, for example, the elites live, and sort of like how the bourgeoisie live and the proletariat live. Let's keep it Marxist, or the elites and the working class. You know, they live completely different lives, and when we say that people live completely different life chances, okay, good guess. It's more about the direction in which they go. Their lives are becoming increasingly different. Okay, let's reveal the answer to that
poles
one. That one
apart,
was a
aren't they?
tough one. Yeah. They are poles apart, like the North and South Pole. The polarization of social classes. If we haven't guessed who it is, can we reveal the picture piece, please? Yeah, well, that would really help, but I think we've already kind of given it away. And the lack of awareness that one is being exploited. Lack of awareness that we're being exploited. Another key kind of Marxist term here. Key Marxist term. Oh, there's one good response. Two. Yeah, we're getting a few responses coming through. This one's a little bit easy. This one's a little bit more straightforward. It's a good Marxist term to know about, and that is false class consciousness. Okay, we shall pass over to Vicky now for our red herring.
Who's the picture?
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Sorry, of course, yeah. Karl
It was
Marx, let's skip
Karl.
that. I was going to stick a picture of Groucho Marx in just to see if anybody knew who that was. Can I just say top marks to everybody who got that?
Oh,
Top
good.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to move on to functionalism now, and we have 5 red herring questions for you, where there will be 4 phrases on each screen, and you have got to work out which is the odd one out and what connects the other 3 sentences on the screen. Thank you, Jim. So the first one is, we have A, middle class people are naturally cleverer and work harder. Matching the right people to the right jobs. Some jobs are rewarded with high status and privilege, and we need the most skilled and committed in the most important jobs. So can you pop the letter of the one that you think is the odd one out in the box, and then tell me what you think connects the other 3 statements? Obviously, if you are watching this on catch up, then you can pause if you need to and note down the letter, and you can note down what is the connection. Okay, so just give you a moment. Excellent. So we've got a couple of good answers coming through already. So just give you a couple more moments for a few more people to answer. Perfect. So we have got a couple of A's coming through next. What do you think, though, is connecting the other 3 statements? Okay, so Jack says A, as they think society is meritocratic and all the same chances. Think particularly about a theory that is related to those other 3. So capitalism is coming through here. This is not particularly about capitalism, this question. So have a think about the idea of those people being matched to the right jobs in particular. Excellent. Role allocation is coming through. Super. Jim, can we have the answer up, please? So the other 3 answers are role allocation. That's Davis and Moore. We've talked about that in previous sessions if you want to go back and recap that. Super. So middle class people are not naturally cleverer and work harder. Okay, Jim, can we have the second one up, please? Thank you very much. So again, which of the 4 is the odd one out and why? So capital punishment, custodial sentences, community service, and tags and curfews. Remember, this is all to do with the functionalist perspective. And obviously, this time we're looking at the functionalist perspective of crime. So which one of those is the odd one out?
One of them feels like an odd one out, even if it wasn't, you weren't thinking about the functionalist perspective. I can't remember if it's the right one.
Hopefully it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a couple of people coming through with D. That is not the odd one out in this case. However, somebody has got the right answer coming through so far. So just give you a moment to see if anybody else can get the actual correct answer here. Okay, so we have a few people coming through with A. So A is the correct answer. We can just have that up, Jim. The others are sanctions that are used in the UK. Remember, when we're talking about the functionalist perspective of crime, they believe that crime, a little bit of crime is needed to keep society kind of running. It reminds people, when you see people being punished, it reminds the rest of us to behave in the appropriate way and follow the norms and behavioral norms in our country. So capital punishment is the one thing that we don't have in our country as a sanction. We have custodial sentences, so prison sentence, community service, and we have tags and curfews that work together. Thank you very much. Right, question 3, please, Jim. So which of the 4 items is the odd one out and why? We've got ritualism, conformity, innovation and rejection. Again, we are looking at the functionalist perspective of crime and deviance. And we have covered this one a few times recently in previous sessions. So which one do we think is the odd one out and what connects the others? Excellent. So we've got some D's coming through at the moment. Julia saying A. Ah, perfect. Already we've got some great answers coming through. So it is D. Jim, can we have the answers? Perfect. The others are responses to strain, Merton's strain theory. Remember the idea here that everybody is aiming for certain goals in society and some people cannot meet those goals. So they respond to strain in different ways. Again, we've covered this in previous sessions. If you want to know more about Merton's strain theory, please go back and have a look at some of the others that we have done on perspective. Certainly our crime and deviance key theories session would be an excellent place to start. Right, number 4, please, Jim. Okay, so we have got comfort and emotional support for adults, primary socialisation, male and female roles are similar and balanced, sanctuary from the stress of everyday life. Again, which one is the odd one out and why? So we're looking at families this time. So pop your letter in the box. And again, if you're watching on replay, then obviously you can pause it for a moment. Have a think about what connects the other 3. So we've got 2 different things coming through at the moment. So we've got B coming through. It's the odd one out as arrest is to do with the woman's role. That's an interesting idea. And we've got a few people who disagree and say they think that C is the correct answer. I'm just going to give you a couple more moments. So comfort and emotional support for adults, primary socialisation, male and female roles are similar and balanced, and sanctuary from the stress of everyday life. So those of you that have popped down C, what do you think is connecting the others? Is there a particular theory that you think would go with these? So, yep, Julia, it is a functionalist role. So is there a particular person and a particular theory that talked about the emotional support for adults and the sanctuary from the stress of everyday life? Think about something that you might have when you get home to get rid of that stress. Not a massive glass of wine or like 6 bags of crisps. Excellent, well done. It is Talcott Parsons and the warm bath theory. Okay, and obviously male and female roles are not similar and balanced in his theory. He talked about the idea of how this would generally work if the man was the breadwinner and the woman was at home running the house nicely. So when he got home, she'd be able to get rid of all those lovely stresses and make him feel much more comforted. Okay, last one then, please, Jim. So we are looking now at the functionalist idea of education. So foster solidarity through things like PSHE topics and assemblies. Schools provide a positive function. The rates of truancy and exclusion are low. Private schools reinforce the class system, and education is more work focused. So which of those 4 is the odd one out? Again, pop your letter into the chat window. So we have Aisha coming through with C. Well done. Excellent. Dizzle, good. From Dizzle Dazzle for functionalists believing in meritocracy. Super. Obviously, private schools reinforcing the class system is not meritocratic. Good. And you're right, Jack, it is the Marxist perspective that we're looking at with C. Perfect. So, Jim, can we just show the answers? Super. So the other ones are the functionist view on schools. They believe that schools provide a really, really good positive role for society. And we're going to look at that a little bit later in my second activity. But Marxists believe that private schools reinforce that class system. Thank you very much. Right, we're going to hand over to Duncan now for the 10-second challenge. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Vicky. I'm looking forward to you fully developing the massive bag of crisps theory, and I'm looking forward to finding more about that. Okay, we've got a new activity for sociology, certainly, the 10-second countdown. So they're going to be a few questions now, and you will have 10 seconds to answer the question. So those of you watching live, you want to be super speedy in the chat window, try and get your answer down as fast as possible. So let's have a look at our first one. What is the name of the feminist perspective? So if you think about the feminist perspectives that you are familiar with, that believes that women raise children to benefit the economy. Okay, let's see how fast you can.
10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
That's exciting, isn't it? We've had Aisha saying Marxist feminism, and I was going to say, I reckon if I'd said to benefit capitalism or benefit the interests of the bourgeoisie, I think I'd have got more answers coming through faster. Shall we have a look? I think Aisha's right. It is Marxist feminists. Well done. Okay, so the next one of these. And you're prepared for the countdown and the blast off now, so you won't be too shocked. Which group of feminists believe we are making progress with gender equality via socialization, education, and legislation? Okay, we might have.
In T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
Lots of right answers coming through this time, and well done for your speedy responses. It is indeed liberal feminists. Well done. And the last one of these. Name 2 ways, so you're going to have to type super fast for this one, 2 ways in which women are disadvantaged in their life chances according to feminists. Obviously, there are more than 2 possible answers here, but let's see what you come up with. So 2 ways in which women are disadvantaged in their life chances.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
Okay, we've got some interesting responses coming through here. The pay gap, so employment. We've got gender socialization. Julia's talked about Fran Ansley, so perhaps the way that men might. I won't use the word from her study, but dump their problems on their wives. We've got education, potentially, domestic violence, childbearing, divorce. I think probably been dual deviance or doubly deviant. I've gone for low paid work, which certainly links to the pay gap within employment. Also part-time work. Obviously, part-time work can be a benefit as well, but it can potentially hold back people for their chances of career progression and things like that. Yes, the gender pay gap is at work today as well. For every 3 click likes that you click at the end, Vicky gets £1, and Craig and I get 3. Okay, that's
so
the last of these ones.
Hang on.
And
I need 6 likes for £1. What's going on?
Well, yes, the Liverpool pay gap's even the Merseyside pay gap's even stronger. Okay, and we're going to hand over to Vicky now for a connection one.
Thank you very much. So again, we are back to functionalism this time again. we have 16 statements on the screen. 4 of them are related to families, 4 related to education, 4 related to crime, and 4 are related to stratification. So I'm going to get you to start off by trying to find the ones that are related to families. So if you can pop them down in the chat window, you don't need to pop the entire thing down, but you can obviously just pop like the first word from each one, as they all start with different there's 2, there's a couple that start with social, but the rest of them all start with different words. So if we can have a look which 4 are related to the functionalist perspective of families. Off you go. So remember, the functionalists think that families provide a good function in society.
Particularly thinking about sort of like, with your key studies, thinking like Parsons and Murdoch, what they might say.
Excellent. So we've got some good ideas coming through at the moment. Not secondary socialisation, Dizzle Dazzle. That's to go with one of the others a bit later.
If you think perhaps about Murdoch's functions of the family, that might help.
So think about what he said was really important for all families. And he studied lots and lots of different societies. He claimed the nuclear family was universal and really vital for society to survive. So what sort of things did he say was a good function that the family provided? Excellent. We've got some really, really good answers coming through here. Yep. So we've got biological reproduction, the socialization of young children, so that primary socialization, stable sex drive, which is obviously going to make people more kind of their relationships more stable. And we have got that economic support as well. Excellent. So if we can just have those highlighted, please, Jim. So the idea is the stable, satisfactory sex drive means that it's more people are more likely to stay together. He wanted that, obviously, in monogamous relationships, not going off and having affairs all over the place. Biological reproduction, that's really important. Otherwise, our next generation, society isn't going to continue. Socialization of the young, remembering to teach those norms and values, and obviously those economic needs, so food, shelter, etc. Okay, so the next 4 that we're looking for are to do with the functionalist perspective of education. So what did they say? What did functionalists, particularly people like Durkheim, say was really important about education and why it was important to society? Again, pop them in the chat window. Off you go. And yeah, well done, Jack. An absolute whoop for you. Good work.
Dizzle Dazzles is looking good to me.
There's a couple in there that are actually later in a stratification, though. So if you can have another look at your list, Dizzle, and see if there's anything else that you can come up with that might be just specific to education. Because remember, we're also looking for stratification a bit later, and some of your answers will be in that bit. Although you are, to be honest, they could go in either. Okay, so we've got the idea coming up of society in miniature from a couple of people. Well done. I can see secondary socializations come through there. Teaching you how to achieve status. We did talk about that really briefly last week as well. And I can also see social cohesion. So brilliant, you have got those all correct. So can we actually have that up, please? Thank you, Jim. So that idea of social cohesion, the formal curriculum, making you kind of feel like you belong to something much bigger. So you're not just kind of by yourself. Society in miniature. Durkheim argued that school prepares you for adult life. For example, maybe working with people that you perhaps don't really want to. That's one of the things that school does. Secondary socialization, so taking over from families to reinforce those norms and values, and teaching you how to achieve your status. That was an idea of Parsons. How you earn place in teams, how you're judged on your manners, how hard you work, your intelligence, all those sorts of things. Okay, next one, we're going to look for the 4 that are linked to crime and deviance. So the functionalist perspective on crime and deviance. So again, we've got some of Durkheim's ideas coming through here. So pop them in the chat window. And one of these we have already talked about in this session. So which 4 do you think are related to the functionalist view of crime and deviance? In fact, 2 of these we've talked about already. Okay, just take a couple of moments. Oh, brilliant. Well done, Jack. Jack has got them all correct already. So can we have those up then, please, Jim? So we've got the idea of collective sentiment to begin with, the idea about sharing ideas about what is right or wrong in society. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. So when something bad has happened in society, some horrible crime, it reminds the rest of us that actually if we stay strong and, you know, we're sort of better as a united front, it reminds the rest of us what is what we should be doing correctly. Acts of punishment act as a deterrent. It reminds the rest of us what will happen if we commit crimes. We'll talk about that earlier. And the idea of anime, so that's kind of something that's coined by Durkheim, when there are no longer any norms guiding behaviour. So, for example, that was seen in like the 2011 riots in the summer holidays, when there was a complete and utter breakdown in law and order. And strain theory, we've talked about that. So Merton coined that idea, the idea that there's pressure to achieve certain goals, and that makes people makes some people turn to crime. Okay, so we just have a look at the last four then. What do we think is connecting the last four left on the screen? I did mention it earlier, so if you were listening, you will know the answer to this. So we've talked about crime, we've talked about education, we've talked about family. Is this a functionalist perspective on? Okay, we've got a couple of people coming through at the moment. Two opposing answers here. We've got family and we've got stratification coming through. Excellent. So Dizzle Dazzle stratification, Jack stratification. You are correct, it is stratification. So the idea is poverty as a form of motivation. No one wants to be poor, so it's going to make us work a little bit harder to try and achieve a good standard of living. Role allocation, so Davis and Moore, we talked about that. It is related to education, so it was, a couple of people did say that was part of education earlier. So unequal rewards means that people are going to be suited to the job that best matches their ability. We want those best jobs to go to the most skilled people. Obviously, it doesn't always happen. You know, our government is from a political standpoint, our government is perhaps a example of where this doesn't always go to plan. People will be rewarded if they are prepared to work hard. Again, that does feature in education as well. And social mobility, movement up and down the class system. And we know in our country there is social mobility, but there are also places around the world where there is a lack of that. Again, look back on the previous couple of weeks sessions to find out a little bit more about these ideas. Right, thank you very much. So we are going over to Craig for our last activity, which is a trapdoor, which again I think might be a new activity for our broadcasts.
Yeah, well, looking at some of the responses we've had so far, I don't think it's going to take too long to get this activity done, because there's some really, really, really good responses that have come through. This trapdoor activity, you have 9 key terms on the screen. What I would like you to do is identify the concepts that are on the screen that you would associate with Marxism. So which of those 9 concepts are Marxist? Warm bath theory, school's a bridge between home and wider society, family is a safe haven, instrumental and expressive roles, gender socialization, myth and meritocracy, correspondence principle, family providing free labor, and women absorbing the frustrations of men. If you just put in the grid references, A1, A2, A3, and identify those Marxist concepts in there. But I don't think this is going to take too long, because they've been really, really good on most of the functions and feminist ideas already.
Oh, Jack's on fire already.
A 3A, 3A, B 3, 2. Dizzle coming through with a few ideas as well. Which of these are Marxist concepts? Okay. Still getting a few more answers come through. I don't want to reveal it for everyone just yet. There are some that obviously we could look at as well as being Marxist and feminist.
Yeah.
I think I'm generally focusing on I'm generally focusing on the ideas here, sort of like probably because it's across education and family, looking at the ideas of Zaretsky, Bolzan-Gintis, some of those key studies that are Marxist studies on there as well. But we will give you credit for those that kind of go down the line of Marxist feminism as well, as you would get. Obviously, they cross over a little bit. Okay, so we've got Jack said A3, B3, C3, C2, which gives us let me see, correspondence principle. Finally provided.
He did late. I'm just going to say he did later say C. He did later correct C3. He said not C1, not C3. So I'll just say Jack followed up with a second.
Okay, yeah. Family safe haven, myth of meritocracy. Women absorb the frustrations of men. Sophie's put in C2, myth of meritocracy. 3A, correspondence principle. It looks like lots of people know their Marxism. Can we reveal the answers, please, Jim? You're right. Correspondence principle, the family providing free labor, which is one of Zaretsky's key ideas. Correspondence principle, obviously, is Bolzan-Gintis, the idea that school mirrors work and that we learn kind of how to work through the hidden curriculum. Family is a safe haven is Zaretsky's idea, often confused with the warm bath theory. They both say very similar things. However, hang on a second, Jack. Whoop. There you go. It just says whoop for me again. So I thought I'd whoop for Jack. Warm bath theory and family safe haven are very, very similar things. Only one says it benefits workers and it benefits capitalism, whereas the other says it benefits the whole family. Okay, and the myth of meritocracy, women absorbing the frustrations of men, we could see that as being Marxist feminism as well, that we could possibly take in there too. But there's some really good responses there. Why isn't functionalism C1? It is a functionalist idea. Warm bath theory is a functionalist idea, but we were looking for Marxist ideas on this task. So somebody's just put up there.
So why isn't C1 functionalism? It could be, couldn't it? But Zaretsky,
Zaretsky's idea is he agreed with this concept that the family performs a psychological function for the workers and for capitalism by providing a safe haven for them, so they are refreshed and replenished for the next day in a very similar way to what Parsons said, but one benefits capitalism, one benefits the individual and society. Okay, so some really, really good responses there. Some really quick responses. It looks like we know our Marxism, feminism, and functionalism quite well.
Yeah.
And great responses there. If you've enjoyed this, live broadcast, or if you're enjoying the replay, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, because we are still going through the Easter holidays. We will be doing more of these, and we'll be doing more into the new term as well. If there's any content you would like us to cover, any content that you find that you're particularly struggling, please leave that in the comments below, and then we will be able to sort of like draw up some ideas on sort of like what content to cover. Quick question there from Jack. The A-level blast on Wednesday is looking at media, and we are at the earlier time of 10:30, I believe. Duncan, is that right? 10:30?
I think so.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow, they're going to have to get up out of bed early, aren't they?
10:30.
We are
10:30.
10:30 a.m. Yeah. Okay, so brilliant responses today, and I shall pass back over to Jim.
Yeah, superb. Thanks, Craig. Thanks, Vicky and Duncan. Brilliant session. It's interesting how synoptic that session is. It recaps so much stuff that we've already done, as Vicky mentioned in previous sessions on family and crime education. So Vicky mentioned going back over some of the previous sessions. The best way to do that is to go to tutoru.net/live and click the replays section, and then filter by subject, so GCSE Sociology, and you'll see all the sessions, all the replays. And the other thing you can do is also download the PowerPoints if you actually just want to go through the slides as well as watching the videos. We'll try to make sure we timestamp all the videos as well, so you can get to the bits that is of particular interest for you. That was fantastic. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please share this link with anyone else who you think might benefit from it. And we'll see you next week. So thanks from all the team. Cheers.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.